that's the secret to making it in the music business.
Isn't it?
Yep, that's it.
Over in Alpha Hillbilly Central.
Great seeing you guys.
So we're back. Hurricane Waylon took the power out here at Hillbilly Central. I'm going to say it's because he loves the record too.
It's got to be that.
Or whatever it was we were discussing he wasn't happy about.
It couldn't be that.
No. But seems like the rain has stopped now. So, okay, so you were talking about being out on the road and sort of getting your juice back, and then your kids started the band.
My kids started a band, and the Lonely Man saved my whole life. Yeah, no, they really did. My kids' band.
Yeah.
Watching them really brought me back to the innocent place that everybody starts
right
when you want to do this.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about insurance and limited liability corporations and all of these different things that you end up dealing with.
They do, they're nerds.
And Lord knows there's no place for nerds
None.
in our society.
Yes.
Yeah, so it kind of reminded me that there's supposed to be joy in getting to do this for a living.
Yeah.
And that was, it was a big turnaround for me. It really helped spur the writing process along that ultimately became this album.
Yeah. Now, did you figure out sort of management techniques for yourself to keep that fire going so you don't hit that wall again?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think realistically, you try to stay that off as long as you can. But I would imagine that in another 20 years, there'll be at least one more of those walls for me. I mean, the same as anybody. I imagine you talk to anybody that's done any craft long enough, there's a point where you hate your work and everything that you stand for, and then you either quit or find inspiration and keep doing it.
Yeah, yes, we do. So then for this record, Anchors, you brought in a whole bunch of new players, went into the studio, and just kind of went for it. So how much of the production vision did you sort of have fleshed out in your brain, or did you guide it and shepherd it, or did you give them free rein and let them go for it?
It's a mix of those two things, really. I mean, I feel like I always have an idea of where I want the songs to go, but also part of the reason that I put this band together is you also want to get some input. So I made it a point to I didn't do any demos of the songs. Everything that we recorded, I either just recorded it the night before on my phone and then played them just an acoustic work tape, or I would sit in the studio and play it. And I made real sure that there was no band leader, there were no charts. Everybody kind of had to write their own notes. And so it was much more like making a record in the classic rock band sort of setup.
And just let them bring what they're going to bring.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of that collaboration. So, and then, from there you have to shepherd it a bit and go, I like this other part, or maybe do something else. But yeah, it was very collaborative, which was exactly what I'd hoped for.
Can we take a moment to sigh over Sheryl Crow?
Any moment you want. Yeah.
Okay, this is the one, because
she's the best.
Oh man, yeah.
I mean, she really is. She is.
She sings on a little bit of Rust.
She sings on a little bit of Rust. Yeah,
that's why I didn't bring her up out of nowhere, guys. Just because I've had a crush on her for 25 years. There was a reason.
It's understandable.
There was a rhyme to my reason.
She is. She should be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, she's
eligible
this year.
Yeah.
Or next year. Yeah.
The Jason Isbell's already thrown down a threat about this on Twitter.
So. We did, and he said he was going to whip somebody's ass, and I told him that I'd drive. So we'll.
Okay. Cool. I'll be your wingman.
If Jan Winter screws this up, there's two rednecks coming to whip his ass.
And me.
And you. 3 rednecks.
We got you back, Sheryl.
No, she's just incredible. I mean, as a singer, as a writer, as a musician of a ton of different instruments, as a producer, and just as a human in general, she's as good as they get.
Yeah. I love to talk about how underrated she is as a musician.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's pretty brilliant in
that
regard, and people don't know that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you get to that level. I mean, that's the other thing that you forget is she has a level of stardom that, I mean, even a lot of the best of us don't ever get to. And she's there, and then you think, well, she's a pop star. You forget that she can pick up an instrument and play circles around most all of us, too.
Yeah, exactly. But we digress.
But we're back.
So I didn't know all of that backstory the first time I heard Anchors, the record. But whatever it was that that whole process brought to the record, I could feel it. Like it felt there's a spark to it. And like I like Small Town Dreams, but I love Anchors, and I don't know, like it goes deep, but it flows. It's not heavy-handed. It just feels good to listen to. So I feel like that's the joy coming through.
I hope so. Well, thank you. That's really kind. And yeah, because they're not all happy. I mean, there's some really sad, dark songs on the record, but I still feel like it's made from a place where you're wanting to convey an emotion,
right,
not worried about whether it's going to work on radio or not.
Right.
And that's, I hope that comes across. I'm glad you think so.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about some of the themes on this thing. I feel like there's a little bit of a Voltaire thing going on with the perfect being the enemy of the good, right? Because that's a lot. I feel that in some of these songs, of like just like kind of, you know, let's take a beat, let's see what's here, and appreciate that rather than chasing the dream that's probably a fantasy, it's a mirage or something.
Well, the new thing's not always better. I mean, I think that's something that we all could take a deep breath and realize in lots of different situations. And you know, in a relationship that I'm in with, you know, my wife and I've been together, it's 13 years now, almost 13 years. You know, you see a lot in that amount of time, and good, bad, all those things. I mean, I'm sure there's a point with both of us in that time where you go, you know, I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah.
And then you, like I said, when you sort of take that moment and go, wait a minute.
That's pretty good.
No, this is good. We just need to. And my wife's a counselor, so it's. I've had to learn to talk about my feelings.
Oh
to
boy.
A point that is.
And not just in a song.
Or like throwing remotes against the wall. That was always like I was a really good wall puncher, and I've had to get out of that. So.
Right.
Yeah, adulthood. There's a lot of adulthood on this record, I think.
There is. But it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't feel heavy-handed. It feels honest.
Good.
It feels, you know, there's a little bit of rawness on there, but it's that, you know, okay, there's a problem here. Well, you know, let's be grown-ups. Let's look at what it is. Let's call it what it is and figure it out and find our way back to each other.
Yeah.
Right? Because this, you know, this too shall pass is another sort of theme.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, there's other, I mean, there's some heartbreak on the record and things that don't work out. I mean, that's the other thing about relationships. When you're in them long enough, you realize as you see other folks around you that don't make it. And sometimes that's the right choice, too. And that's hard, but that's in there, too. I mean, it's a real world. I don't think it's a...
Yeah. You just got to stay tethered to your truth, I think, and your kindness and your humanity. And
we could all use a little bit more of that at this point.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could. Well, want to do a song?
Sure.
Which one you feeling?
Let's do one of the real sad ones. That makes total sense.
Since we set it up and all.
Yeah.
Will Hoge.
You go to bed early and darling, I stay up late. Come 2 in the morning, the kids are already awake. Get 'em dressed, get 'em breakfast, out the door and on the bus. Hope that they don't see these walls building up between us. You put on your makeup and don't even look my way. Pass by me in the hallway like a ghost that's running away. Tell me we got dinner plans with friends at 5. And ask if maybe we could just act happy tonight. Oh, but nobody can tell, 'cause we play the part so well. Fool 'em all little by little more every day. Yeah, the truth is we made a mistake. Ain't that happy couple on the wedding cake. It's you and me, darling, just living this grand charade. I drive to work in this rusted out pickup truck. Coffee steams in the holder, torn between staying and just giving up. Sometimes I sit in this parking lot and I just cry and wonder how the hell this became our life. Oh, but nobody can tell, 'cause we play the part so well. Fool 'em all little by little more every day. Yeah, the truth is we made a mistake. We ain't that happy couple on the wedding cake. Yeah, it's you and me, darling, just living this grand charade. We would try to stay together for our parents, for the kids. But we know now there ain't nothing to change all this. We can act like it ain't over, but it is. Let's do it again. Come on, pretend. Oh, but nobody can tell, 'cause we play the part so well. Fool 'em all little by little more every day. Yeah, the truth is we made a mistake. We ain't that happy couple on the wedding cake. Yeah, it's you and me, darling, just living this grand charade. Come on, little darling, we're living this grand charade.
So sad. I was listening earlier to an episode of Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History podcast, and it was about sad songs. It was sort of, he took Bobby Braddock as the starting point, as Mr. Sad Song as it gets, but the point he ends up kind of making, the overarching point, is that the reason country songs are just country music full of weepers is because of the specificity. And that, you know, like Wild Horses, Rolling Stones, that's a sad song, but it's not DIVORCE sad,
right,
because of the specifics. So Bobby Braddock would be proud, as would Malcolm Gladwell, I think.
I like
think
both
he would
of those.
qualify.
Did you read Did you read his book?
I didn't, but Malcolm talks about it, and he's
It's
like,
fantastic.
it's exhausting, is what he said.
You realize,
And not in a bad way, but
no, I mean in a life. I mean that book was, because I was reading that as, you know, again, as my funk was increasing, and I don't mean that with a PH. The shit that you go through in this life as a musician, it is not unique. Like as you're reading this book, you're like, oh, this is the same thing. That I'm not. And it's sort of, you
have a
get
different
out of,
job.
Yeah, but you also, it's like, you know, the sadness and the depression that I go through because my career's not where I want it. That's what every songwriter does. And it doesn't matter the level of success. You're still wanting more. So there was a lot in that book. I mean, and then just great stories of, you know, this town in the 60s and 70s. It was incredible.
Yeah, nice. Okay, enlightening round. We're now at the enlightening round.
Okay. Enlightening or lightning?
Enlightening.
Ooh.
It's not fast.
Okay. I can be slow about this.
You take your time.
Good.
I want you to tell me your favorites in these various categories on the list. Who's your favorite guitar player?
Ooh.
Because I feel like you do a whole lot of different things.
Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, man.
It's still, that's the one, it's the essence, it's the mix of country and rock. That to me is where they all come together, and it's his licks and all are cliched for a reason, because they're amazing. Those songs, rhythm guitar, lead guitar, it's Chuck Berry. I don't need to justify it. Chuck Berry.
Yeah, all right. I don't even have to ask piano, because I know it'd be Ray Charles, because we've talked about Ray before.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Songwriter, any genre.
I mean, I want to be cooler than this, but it's still, it's probably, it's a tie between Bob Dylan and Paul McCartney. I know you're supposed to go deeper and have some obscure person, but those are the ones. Yeah.
That's fun. There are no wrong answers in the
I feel
enlightening
good about
round.
that. Good.
Yeah.
That's it.
We like positive reinforcement here.
Good. My wife's going to love this whole conversation.
We try to please the wives.
That's good.
On
Thank
here.
you.
That's one of my goals. Country singer.
Country singer. Oh, man. I mean, I almost want to say Ray Charles for modern sounds in country and western, but that's not fair. George Jones.
Okay. See? Yeah. Malcolm talks a lot about George in this podcast, as you might imagine.
It should.
Your favorite rock star?
Keith Richards.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, he's
I
like
feel
the
like that's
quintessential.
I mean, again.
He's the archetype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read the story the other day about how he pulled a knife on Donald Trump at one point. You read that?
No. Wait, did I?
It was bad. It was been years ago.
Yeah.
Obviously.
You know what? I think I saw a tweet about it, and I was just like, "Oh, I can't even."
I know, but it's classic Keith Richards.
Yeah. Who's your favorite Americana artist?
Buddy Miller.
I'd go with that.
Yeah. I mean, kind of covers all the bases. I mean, he's made incredible records as an artist. The stuff he and Julie have done, and he kind of. I think he was kind of doing this before it was a thing.
Yeah.
So he was the Ferdinand Magellan of Americana.
I once asked Leanne Womack, and before I even finished the question, she had answered. I was like, "Is he the most humble genius you've ever met?" And before I even finished, she's like, "Yes."
I wouldn't argue. Well, she should also get put on like greatest country singers.
Yeah.
She's
Hands down.
staggering.
We love our law
Yeah.
at the Bluegrass situation. Who's your career model? Like, do you have somebody that you kind of look to and like, yeah, I'd like to have that kind of career?
Yeah, well, I mean, I go to Vince Gill a lot in that he's an incredible artist and he continues to do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But he's also just an involved father and husband, kind of seeing him behind the scenes for years. That's one that really showed me you can do this and you don't have to be Keith Richards.
Right.
You can be a functioning adult and still be a great musician. So that he's pretty high on the list. And I guess Neil Young's probably the other one that just continues to just literally do whatever in the hell he wants to do.
Yeah.
That's pretty inspiring.
Yeah, I was thinking about Vince the other day. Him and Rodney Crowell. I was thinking about the two of them because they're at such a great place in their own careers, but it's never been all about them, and it still isn't. They keep cropping up. Rodney producing this record, or Vince guesting on that record, and I just think it's a wonderful thing. And like Vince doing the Time Jumper still, and he was even, he got tapped to go tour with the Eagles. And we had the Time Jumpers here, and I was like, "How many Time Jumper show are you gonna miss?" He's like, "None."
Oh yeah.
And he was so excited about that, even though he's gonna go tour with one of the best bands in history.
Right.
He's like, "I'm gonna be on my Monday nights at 3rd and Lindsley."
Yeah, and he's still a guy that when we first really met, it was just because I called him to play on a record of mine, and he really does that. I mean, he really makes it a point to try and help artists.
Yeah.
That he does not have to waste his time helping.
Yeah.
But I think he really has gotten to a point on the climb that he can sort of look back and go, okay, if I can help a little bit.
And he probably gets, same with Rodney, I'm sure they get something out of it for themselves too.
Sure.
Like that re-energizes, like you see in your kids.
You want to
Vince
have that
being
moment
in the studio with Ashley Monroe probably puts a little bit of fire back under his.
Yeah, or he's really taken Charlie Worsham kind of under his wing, and
that was partly why I was thinking about Vince, because I see Charlie in that same mold.
Yeah.
Like I could see Charlie taking over the Time Jumper.
Yeah, and
spot
he's done.
at
He's
some
done.
point,
He's been sitting in with them some when Vince is gone, and I mean, this community. I think the more that we really look out for the future of it, because nobody else is going to. I mean, that's part of our job too. I think when you get a station or two ahead, it's important to try to drag a few folks along as you can.
Yeah, I agree. Second song.
All right.
Where are you going to go this time?
Man, I don't know.
Since Cheryl's not here.
You want to sing her part?
I would, but the storm got getting me a little bit.
The storm, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, we'll let you off the hook.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Sure. Bought your old man's beat up Chevrolet. Paid him $2,000 not to throw it away. A little elbow grease to make that old thing shine. Even brighter than a dead day rode off the line. Yes, sometimes this world has a way wearing you down a little day by day. You say you're worried that we're going off track, but we ain't lost nothing that we can't get back. Ain't nothing we can't fix. Ain't no broken trust. Ain't no great divide between the two of us. Just the heavy hands of time kind of wear away the shine. But don't worry, it's just a little bit of rust. Well, the truth is you could talk a little less and I could listen a little more. But it ain't like anybody's walking out the door. So unless you got anything else to say, I'm gonna go fire up that old Chevrolet. You can put your blue dress on and fix your hair just right. I'm gonna take you out downtown tonight. Why don't you cross the floor like I did back then? We'll dance until this old love shines again. Ain't nothing we can't fix. Ain't no broken trust. Ain't no great divide between the two of us. Just the heavy hands of time kind of wear away the shine. But don't worry, it's just a little bit of rust. Oh, but don't worry, it's just a little bit of rust.
Will Hoge with A Little Bit of Rust off Anchors, out August 11th. I'm so glad you're here today.
I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Well, my pleasure. Absolutely. Speaking of Charlie Worsham, he's going to be on 3 weeks. He's on August 25th.
Good.
Next week we got Ron Pope. It's the month of boys, August. Ron Pope next week, Johnny P on the 18th, Charlie Worsham on the 25th.
Rounds it out.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Those are 4 fine fellas.
It's all right.
I will say. Good luck with the record.
I appreciate it.
Man, I
really.
hope people love it as much as I do.
I appreciate that. Me too.
If they do, you're going to be just fine.
Good.
All right. Until then, over and out from Hillbilly Central.